August 79 AD. A resort town rests beneath a quiet green mountain. Wealthy Romans spend their summers on this very coast. No one believes the mountain above them is a volcano. Then, just after midday, it tears itself open. A column of ash and stone shoots 20 miles into the sky. What if I told you this wasn't just a disaster? What if Pompeii had never been buried at all? The answer isn't just a city survives. It's a different kind of history. A history with far less light ever shone into it. This is the story of the volcano that froze a city in time, and the uncomfortable truth about what that burial preserved. Because sometimes, burial is also a kind of rescue. Vesuvius didn't look like a killer. It looked like a hillside of vineyards. Pompeii sat at its base, wealthy, crowded, alive. Around 11,000 people called it home. Bakeries, bathhouses, brothels, a packed amphitheater. 17 years earlier, in 62 AD, the ground had already warned them. A massive earthquake tore through the region. The philosopher Seneca wrote about the destruction it left behind. Some buildings were rebuilt. Others, still, sat in ruins. No one connected the tremor to the mountain above. Life simply went back to normal. On the day of the eruption, Pliny the Elder was across the bay. He was a naturalist, a fleet commander, endlessly curious. He noticed a strange cloud rising from the mountain. His nephew described it as shaped like an umbrella pine. Pliny the Elder sailed closer, not away, but toward it. He wanted to see it up close, and to help who he could. By early afternoon, pumice stones the size of fists began to fall. Roofs groaned. Some collapsed under the weight. Ash filled the streets like gray snow that never stopped. Some residents fled through the falling rock. Others sheltered indoors, hoping it would pass. Neither choice was safe. Pliny the Elder reached the shore near Stabii. He never left it. He collapsed and died there, likely from the fumes. His nephew, watching from a distance, survived to write it all down. That letter, written 30 years later, remains our only eyewitness account. Then, in the early hours, the real horror began. The ash column collapsed in on itself. 6 pyroclastic surges tore down the mountain's slopes. They moved at over 100 miles an hour. Temperatures exceeded 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Herculaneum, closer to the mountain, was hit first and hardest. Its people had gathered at the shore, waiting for rescue boats. The boats never came in time. Pompeii was buried under nearly 20 feet of ash and stone. Historians still debate the final death toll. Estimates range from a few thousand to well over 10,000. In less than a day, 2 cities simply stopped existing. They weren't rebuilt. They were forgotten. For over 1,600 years, Pompeii vanished from every map. Vineyards grew again on the hillside above it, as if nothing happened. In 1748, workers finally broke back through the ash. What they found underneath changed how we understand the ancient world. Now imagine one small change. Imagine that earthquake in 62 AD had been taken seriously. Imagine engineers recognized the mountain for what it truly was. Imagine authorities quietly began moving the city inland, year by year. It's not far-fetched. Romans relocated towns before, for less reason. In our story, that caution arrives just in time. By 79 AD, Pompeii's wealthiest families have already resettled. The bathhouses, the bakeries, the forum, all rebuilt, safely inland. When Vesuvius finally does erupt, the ash still falls, but onto empty streets and rooftops with no one beneath them. No 20 feet of stone entombing a living city. No 6,000 or 16,000 dead. Just a mountain, venting itself, and a town that got away in time. History barely pauses to notice. Vesuvius becomes just another line in a Roman historian's notebook. To understand what's lost, you have to understand what Pompeii gave us. Almost everything we know about ancient Rome comes from its winners, senators, generals, poets, the people who could afford to be written about. Ordinary Roman life, for the other 90%, barely survives anywhere else. But Pompeii wasn't written about. It was frozen. Its walls are covered in graffiti, jokes, insults, declarations of love, political slogans scrawled by shopkeepers on every corner. A bakery was found with loaves of bread still inside the oven. Brothels still show their price lists painted plainly on the wall. Ordinary homes survive intact, not just the villas of the rich. We can see exactly how a middle-class Roman family actually lived. Their kitchens, their gardens, their pets, forever cast in ash. In Herculaneum, an entire library of scrolls survived, carbonized but intact. Scientists are still unrolling and reading them today, nearly 2,000 years later. In our world without the eruption, none of that survives. Pompeii simply becomes another Roman town, built over again and again. Wars, fires, and centuries of renovation erase it, the way they erased everywhere else. Its graffiti, painted over. Its bread, eaten and forgotten. Its scrolls, lost to time. Our picture of everyday Roman life stays thin, reconstructed only from elite writers. We'd know how senators saw the world. Almost nothing about everyone else. Even the science of volcanology looks different. The term for this exact kind of eruption is Plinian, named for Pliny's letter. Without that eyewitness account, we may not have that framework for centuries. Modern evacuation plans for volcanoes still study Pompeii's collapse hour by hour. Cities near volcanoes today plan their escape routes using lessons written in ash. Naples sits in Vesuvius's shadow right now, nearly 3 million people. Their emergency plans exist partly because of what happened here 2,000 years ago. Without Pompeii's warning, would we understand these disasters as well or as fast? Would other cities, elsewhere, have paid for that ignorance with more lives? It's impossible to know for certain, but historians think the answer is probably yes. Pompeii's tourism today draws millions of visitors and real economic weight for Italy. Its imagery shaped novels, films, paintings for over 2 centuries. An entire cultural fascination with frozen catastrophe traces back to this one excavation. None of it exists in a world where the city simply relocated in time. Just a footnote, a mountain that rumbled and a town that got lucky. So a world without Pompeii's burial isn't simply a city spared. It's a world that understands its own deep past just a little less, and possibly a world slower to save lives the next time a volcano wakes. That's the strange trade this catastrophe made, without anyone agreeing to it. A city's destruction, traded for a window into everyone else's forgotten lives. It's not a fair trade. No one who died there would call it fair. But it is, historians argue, the trade that actually happened. Now, it would be easy to end the story there. Too easy. Because let's be honest about something deeply uncomfortable. It can sound like this video is arguing the eruption was secretly good. It wasn't. Not for a single person buried beneath that ash. The plaster casts you've seen in photographs aren't just archaeology. They're the exact shape of a real person's final moment, preserved by chance. A family, huddled together. A dog, still chained by its owner's door. A guard, found still standing at his post, keeping watch to the very end. These weren't actors in a museum exhibit. They were people, with names we lost. No family member ever came to claim them. There was no one left to. Grief doesn't care about the archaeological value of where it happened. Some historians and descendants of the region push back hard on how this is shown. Turning real human remains into tourist photographs raises real ethical questions. There is an ongoing serious debate about how, or whether, these casts should be displayed. That discomfort is part of this story too, not a footnote to skip past. And here's the part that should unsettle you more than any of it. Vesuvius never stopped being a volcano. It's still active today. It last erupted in 1944, within living memory, not ancient history. Scientists consider it overdue for another major eruption. Nearly 3 million people now live in the same shadow Pompeii once did. So maybe the honest version isn't, the volcano gave us history. Maybe it's this: catastrophe sometimes preserves exactly what time would have erased anyway. Pompeii's graffiti says as much about being human as its ruins ever will. Every "I was here" scrawled on a wall 2,000 years ago. Sometimes the most human evidence survives only because everything else stopped. So the next time you see a loaf of bread in a museum case, remember, it was breakfast once, not an artifact. Breakfast. This is Oviora. Keep wondering.